Hello viewers, it's Charles again. Welcome to QuickBooks 2016. We are now in module 3, and in this module we are talking about how to customize QuickBooks so it works best for your business. We are going to start by going through the preferences that are in QuickBooks. There are a ton of different preferences in here. Make sure you watch video number 1 and 2 for this module, because that's part 1 and part 2. I want to make sure you get a feel for all the options that are available in QuickBooks. Let's head over and I will show you how to get to the preferences. One of the things that you might notice is that your icon bar is now on the top, as I've discussed with you some in the previous videos. You are seeing the icon bar. This is the icon bar. It is on the top right now. It is on the top side of your screen, and certainly if you want to leave it there, it's also fine, because me, I prefer to have that icon bar on top. But you can also change it, and it shows on your left side of the screen. All you have to do is click on the view from the menu bar. You click on view, then choose either you leave it at top, just this is where it is. You can put it on the left, just like the way you are seeing it here, or you can go ahead and hide it. Those are the options that we saw. For now, it is hidden. You can't see it anywhere. You can even maximize this, and you are seeing the full screen. You are seeing the full home screen without the icon bar. I've hidden it, but me, I prefer to have it there on top. We can either leave it, hide it, or we put it on top, or we put it on our left hand side. So those are the options. Those are the options that you have. So if you want to move it back the same way we said, we'll go to the view, you put it on top. Now it has come back. So me, I prefer to work when it is in that format. So let me just leave it there. So we said we go to menu. On that menu bar, we select view, then we can adjust where we want it to be. But the good thing, you've seen how we change that. The other thing is the ability to navigate between your open windows. Right now, if you click on any of these icons, if maybe I click on customers right there, that is the dialog box that opens up when I click the customer. Most it captures the details of the customers. So that's what we call, that's a window. That is a customer window is now open. You can also click on any icon, whatever icon you click on, and if that opens, whatever comes out is what we call a window. So this is our window. If we want to close this window, we can leave it open. We can leave it open and we open another one. I want to go, click on home, then I want to open, maybe if let's say you have a bills to enter. Let me just open enter bills icon. When I open it, you will see that's also a window that has opened up. And you may want actually to leave it open just like that, because you can go somewhere else and do other things. Just the same way we left the other customer open. We can also leave that open, and we go to home, we open another, maybe this time around we want to open vendors or the suppliers. We've opened, it is now also open. We have opened 3, meaning that's the ability of us navigating in those different windows that we've actually opened. So there is, if the question is, if I want to close off this, someone may be wondering, how am I going to be able to close that? And I maybe I move to the next thing. We said one of the option, we go to this small X you are seeing here. We don't click the bigger one up here, because if you click on this one, you are closing the whole QuickBooks. So we don't click on that. We come to this small X you are seeing here. When I click that way, I've cancelled it. I'm now on the home screen. We can maybe try to put this on the left, the icon bar. We put it there. We can also navigate from here. We can be able to click on my company, and we'll get the information that is on the company, because these are all open windows. We opened the customers, it is still there. That's what we opened. We can navigate through using the icon bar. Even if it is still at the top, you can just click here. You can click at the snapshot. You see the whole of the company. So to close, you can click on that small X you are seeing there. We can also close it, or we can leave it empty. We can leave it open. Any way that works for you is what you do. But you've seen I've closed everything, even plus the home screen. But now I can navigate back using the icon bar. So that's how we can be able to navigate. So we can try maybe one more last time. If I click on enter bills, on enter bills here, we have, let's say we wanted to put in information here for the customer. You put in everything, maybe what the amount, whatever. You put in if let's say you're paying rent, the amount, and you come here, you save and close. There are 2 options: you save and close, or save and new. Save and close means you save and you close enter bills icon. That's the meaning. When you save and close, it means enter bills icon is going to close completely. But if you save and new, it means you want to save this one, then you enter another bill. Hope you have actually seen what we mean. So right now we can say maybe we save and close. This is the save and close at the bottom. So when we do that, save and close, we've closed everything. So you would also come to your menu here. The other option, how we can navigate into the open windows that we have, we can come to our menu up here and we click on Windows. Windows is here. When I click on that, it will show me the things that are open. The ones you are seeing, which is the one, it is only one thing which is open. Maybe let me first open so many. Let me open many, then we can be able to check out and see. Because we are doing these things for the first time, and I need you to pick me right. So we go to our menu and we pick Windows. You are seeing we have 1, 2, 3, all of them there. They are open. 1, 2, 3. We've opened the bills, we've opened the earn invoice, and we have a home section. There are 3 which are open. We can also navigate from there. So if you don't want, if let's say you have opened like this, and now I want to go to home, what you just do, you come to window and you click home, it will direct you go back to home. You go to Windows, you go to enter bills. I will go direct to the bills. You click on, maybe I wanted to invoice, create an invoice, you go back to the invoice icon or the invoice window that we opened. So that's how we open those windows up. So even the other thing you can do, maybe you can come to view here and you turn up these windows, the open window list. It is here on the top, open window list. You can see that if you click view and you go to, because now if you turn it on, if you click, it means you are checking it. Before we never had that tick. Let me click, it's not there. So you can check it, or you can tick, you can mark it. When you mark it, you can be able to navigate from here. It shows open windows. This is what we call the open window list. So how do we navigate, or how do we move from, now we are on create invoice, we can now just click enter bills, and we are on enter bills. We can click on home, and now we are in our home section. So that's how we navigate. But when you open this open windows list, it comes on your left. So that's why we are seeing this on this left hand side. So when you do that, it appears on your left, and you will see all the open windows that you have over there. Even if you had opened 100, they would be reflecting here. Would be seeing all of them. So that's how we can work. We can be able to move from one window to another window at the same time, or when you're using those different shortcuts that we talked about. And maybe the other thing we said, if you want to close a window, make sure you are in that window. If let's say I want to close enter bills, I make sure I first click, and I make sure here I'm seeing bills, the enter bills window. Then I come to this X. You come on this top, on this small X is the one that we are going to click on, and we have closed that. Even here it has disappeared. If you go to create invoices, you make sure that you are in that window before you click this star X that appears on the top. So one thing that I want to make sure that I emphasize is you have to make sure that you don't click this top X right up here, the last X in the corner. We don't click that, because that will close QuickBooks. So we just want to close these other windows, and we remain with our QuickBooks. So now that you know how to set that up, let's go into the preferences right now. You want to click on edit. If you are to go to those preferences, we are supposed to click on edit from the menu bar. This is our menu bar. The first line item you are seeing here on the top is what we call the menu bar. So we click on edit. When you click on edit, it brings you that area where you are supposed to select from. So from that, you can just go ahead and go down to the last column, which says preferences, and click on that preferences. So it has brought for us the different preferences that we can set, or the different features that we can turn off and on, that will help us to, they are all here from the top to the bottom. There are very many. There are very many. There are very many, as you can see. Maybe you can do that, and we make sure that we are on the same page, because I want you to follow along so that we can be able to move on the same pace. Maybe to close a little bit and I go back. We said we come to menu and we click on edit. We go down to this sub menu and we pick preferences. That will bring us to that preference sub menu or that window. So we are seeing there are a lot of options, and you will notice that whichever option you click on the left, you will see two tabs on your right hand side. Now right now you are seeing we've clicked in the general, and we are seeing two tabs. We have the my preference and the company preference. So there are two. When I click maybe accounting, I have my preference and then company preference. If I click bills, I have my preference and then company preference. So that's what we are meaning. Whichever item you click on the left hand side, it will give you these two tabs, my preference and the company preference. So we need to set those up. There are very many, meaning whichever we put on and whichever we remove will have an effect, or it will have an impact in our home screen. This is the very point where we can be able to add some of these icons that you've seen at the home screen. So we are going to go through each of those items, but we are going to skip some of them. We are going to pick the ones that are most relevant. The rest we shall keep handling them as we proceed in the different versions of QuickBooks. So we've seen that the right hand side has two options. One says my preferences and the other says company preferences. This is the my preferences, this is the company preferences. Those are the two things that are there. So you make sure that you click on both tabs when you are looking at your options, to just make sure you have seen everything. Because when you click at my preferences here, you can actually see if you are in this desktop view. Remember, we've been seeing multiple windows. If we are able to do that because we had already, this one was already turned on automatically, multiple windows, we can basically see the multiple windows because this option is active. But if it was in this, we couldn't navigate into the different windows. So we could just open one window at a time. You can't open another one when the other one is still open. So that's why these things, they are very important. So you have to be careful, and let's go, like we move together so that you don't get stuck when you are doing it on your own. And make sure whatever we do here, after watching the video, make sure you come back and practice on your own. Then you go and revisit the video. Make sure you go through, check with what you did. You see whether we are complying, or you make sure that at least we are moving on the same pace. That's very important because we need to follow along. So that's what we have. I hope you have actually reached where I am now. So let me close it again. I reopen it. We said we'll go to edit, preferences, and then that screen comes up. Typically, when you first open it, or when you first come in, you will see, or you will notice that it is automatically opening, or it is automatically pointing at general. Here you are seeing it is general. When I've just opened, it is pointing at general. Even if we click, and go back. We said we go to edit, preferences. It comes when it is in the general. It is highlighting the general. So that is the general option that it is highlighting. But we are going to start under accounting, or we are going to start from the first point. Even though it has been opening, or its default is opening the general, but we are going to start from accounting. We start from that accounting option. We are going to click on company preferences because my preference, we don't have anything here. So we click on company preferences. Now there are a few things here I want to point out. The very first one being that you have the ability to use account numbers in QuickBooks. Let me show you what it looks like since this option is turned off automatically. This one, accounts, use account numbers. It is turned off. So I want to show you what it means or how it looks like when those account numbers are turned off. It's not ticked, because if it was ticked like that, then it would be turned on, but it's off. By default, it is off. So I want to show you how it looks like before we turn it on. Then I show you how it looks like when those are on. You will see the difference and will understand why we have to set these company preferences. So I'm going to cancel this for a moment. I've cancelled that. If you remember, if you remember very well, I spoke about what we call charts of accounts. And we've said charts of accounts are the most important part of QuickBooks. And we said we should always be careful with them. I'm going to go ahead and open the charts account, the charts of accounts. So we want to open those charts of accounts and we see how are they looking like without account numbers. And we've said the charts of accounts, they are always in the company section of the home screen. That's why we went through the other QuickBooks environment to know the section that if I'm looking for charts of accounts, I know where to find them. So don't take those groupings for granted. Those videos are made they are systematic. If you follow them from the very first one, because we are giving them module per module, module 1, module 2, module 3. If you go through those in that very arrangement, you'll be able to get me right. So we come to charts, the company section, and we click on charts of accounts. So I've clicked on charts of accounts, but this is how it looks like. Observe very well. Let me first close this. Observe very well this side. Here, we don't have anything like any numbers here. So that's how it looks like without account numbers. Hope you can be able to see that. Because the good thing you are seeing that some of the things, they are arranged in these, whatever these items are, they are arranged in an alphabetical order, or they are arranged alphabetically. Now it's alphabetically because based on the type. Because now we are seeing accounts receivable, accumulated depreciation, then you are seeing now the next one is furniture and equipment. They are not, they are based, they are organized alphabetically basing on the account type that we are from. These, they are based on the accounts type. And now let's now go ahead and look at the other side when we have accounting estimates. For those who have not, maybe to clarify on this, when I say they are arranged alphabetically as per the types of account of the account types or the types of accounts, you look at this. This is an accounts receivable. When you look here, it starts with accounts receivable. This is a finance, sorry, fixed asset. They are not starting with the furniture. No, they are starting with accumulated depreciation. Then they follow with the letter. That's the alphabetical order I'm meaning. That as per the account type, this is accounts receivable, meaning they are supposed to start with something that starts with A. That's why we are seeing accounts payable. If we had anything to do with maybe vendors or a given supplier, they would put that person here down alphabetically. If you look at these incomes, we are seeing that they are starting with the sales because these are all S. But as you know how to organize alphabetically, you cancel this one out and you check the next letter. This is A, this is H. That's why this is alphabetically. Maybe we can check these one, which are many. Cost of goods sold. We have freight and shipping. The next thing is merchant. The other one is product sample and purchases. So you are seeing how they are arranged alphabetically in that order of based on their account types. So that's what I meant. Hope that one clarifies what you're supposed to know for now. But now what you have to understand in accounting, you may want to use what we call general ledger. Because now when you are using general ledger, a general ledger always has that general ledger numbers. That this information has been picked in a general ledger, number what, number what, number what. So if you are to use those general ledger numbers, then I'm going to go back to edit and I go down to preferences, and under accounting, I'm going to check on that company preference and I mark that box which says use accounting numbers, because by using accounting numbers, those account numbers, they are representing the general ledger numbers. So I want, let me close off this. Even if I don't close, I just come to this because I show I've illustrated how you can be able to navigate in different windows. We said we come to edit, we go to preferences, and we come to this accounting, which we go to company preference and we check this on. By default, when you do that and you click OK, you are going to see that we have got these numbers here. These numbers you are seeing here, they are the ones that we call general ledger numbers, or they are the ones that we call the account numbers. For them, the general ledger numbers, in the QuickBooks, for them, they call them account numbers. They call them account numbers because these are accounts. Accounts receivable account, furniture and equipment account. So these are account numbers for the different account types. So you've seen when you click OK, you can see that here the general ledger numbers, these ones, they have come up. You can use them or you can ignore them. But to be professional, I totally agree that you actually click that, you set that preference, and you make sure they are turned on so that we can be able to use them. They are not, even if you don't use them, it is okay, but to be like a professional, you turn them on to make sure that this your work is good. And we shall see how we can be able to use some of those, because there is somewhere we can use them to when we are setting up accounts. So we've said it is optional, you can use them or you may not. And if you actually want to use them, then you need to check that up on and be able to use. But for those who are going to, if you are going to use it, it will probably end up editing a lot of things to match the numbers that you would like to use. But this is this option we have to turn it on. It is an option that we can turn on and we can turn off. But I recommend that you make sure that at least you turn them on. So let me go back to the preferences and we go to another item, because we've seen there are very many items that we want to look at. So we can close this, even if we don't close, and we just go direct here because we know now how to navigate. So we are back. We are back into the preferences. We've looked at that. Then one thing I want to recommend on this class, when we are still under the accounting as an option, I had forgotten that because it is also important. Someone may wonder, why is it unchecked? Okay, that's the other thing I want to show you when you're using that class. But now use class tracking for transaction. That's it's not automatically on, but if you want, we can turn it on and we can turn it off. And if you turn it on like that, you are going to have an extra field on every transaction that will have a drop down list of classes that you actually set up. This one we shall use it more often when we are looking at setting up accounts. What this means is that, in other words, how do we use this class feature? If you have a business and you would like to break your business down into smaller sections for reporting purposes, you would use the class tracking feature. As an example, maybe we can just, as an illustration, if maybe you'd like to track each transaction in QuickBooks and you would want QuickBooks to tell you if it's part of let's say, insurance. Because now you may be having insurance as an expense, but insurance has gotten so many types. Like we have healthy, we have compensation benefits for employees, we have healthy, we have life. There are so many. So when you are using that class, it means you are going to class, if at all you are paying medical expenses to your employees, you will make sure that you classify that health expense under insurance. It means we are breaking down the expenses. There are those insurance packages that we are going to pay when they are going to physical assets. They are going to, maybe it is for the company cars. So they are different from those that are going to individuals, and you are not going to just mix them. So if you are to use that, then you make sure that you put that on that class. You keep tracking. So it means on every item you are seeing here, if let's say it is an expense, insurance expense, it will have a drop-down list to show you that this is going for maybe health expense. This is going for company car expense in terms of insurance. So that's what we are meaning. So when that feature is turned on, you can have that insurance, let's say insurance expense, having a drop down list maybe of 2 to 3 items. Then the other thing you may look at, another example we can maybe try to demonstrate here, is that If you are that company and you have very many branches, but you want to report the sales that were made by that branch, in other words, the sales, it will come as a sales figure here. But on that sales figure, it comprises of the different sales values that came from the different branches. So if you want to show that this is the total sales of, let's say, 2 billion, but that 2 billion is broken down in those different, each branch contributed this towards that total. That's what we are calling class, or using the class tracking for transaction. Hope you can be able to pick that right. If, let's say, the company has 5 locations, those branches, they are located, maybe they are in different districts, 5 different districts, and they have their head office. When they are reporting, it is the head office that is going to reconcile all the sales that were made by the different branches. But the point here is we can be able to see the contribution from each branch. So how can we do that in QuickBooks? We've said that's going to be those sales from the different branches. They are going to be, so those sales, they are going to be from, they will show the total sales and each contribution from the different branches. So that's how we use that tracking for transactions. So we can now go to the next thing I want to show you here is the fact that you can close your books in QuickBooks. You would set a date. You would set a date and a password right here. Sorry about that. The network had jammed a little bit, and now we can proceed. I was saying that the next thing I want to show you here is the fact that you can close your books in QuickBooks. You can close your books in QuickBooks. You would want to set a date and a password. So what do we mean by setting a date and a password? This is the option that we are seeing right here. If you want to set, maybe, okay, what you are looking at here, this last point where it says closing date, down here it has set date stroke password. I want to explain something here on the date warnings that we have here that I already checked. This is the last item that I need to explain on that accounting option that we've seen there. So what this means is that in real life accounting, you close the books at the end of every month, and then you close the books at the end of the year. There are 2 options. You can close them at the beginning of the you close them at the end of the month. We see the transaction that we have throughout that month. Then we close the whole books at the end of the year to see whatever we had for that year. Now, here is what that means. Let's say that you are currently now we are in Feb 2024, and maybe you decide to close the books for the prior month. The prior month, I mean January, which you want to close off. If, let's say, you want to close off the books for the previous month, but now, right now, you are in February, and you see something, maybe you want to delete, or maybe you want to put a check, or maybe you've seen, because now the other month has passed, but you may realize when you are already in Feb, the other month has already passed, but you made a mistake in that previous month, and maybe you say, I paid the other supplier twice. So if you paid the other supplier twice in the month of January, and you want to, and now you realized you made that mistake, but you never saw it in January. What that means is that you are not going to be able to actually delete that duplicate check or that second check that you made. You are going to have to make an offsetting entry in the current period, that is Feb, in order to reconcile the other error that you had made in the previous period. That's what we are meaning here. If you made an error in January, but you realize that error in Feb, when the other month has already been closed, what you do, you only enter an offsetting entry to clear the other error you made, but there is no way you can go back and delete the other. It's like when the books have already been audited and you want to go back and check that you realize you did some errors. Because the books were already edited, what you can only do is come to this here and make an offsetting entry. So this is where you would come to close your books. Because remember, you've seen you made a mistake. But it means when you made a mistake, the books were not properly closed. So you need to close them rightly. So the only way you can do it is by coming here. How is it done? You would set a date, and usually it is the end of the month. And then you would actually set a password here, so that anyone who is using QuickBooks can't read. In other words, he can't access anything prior to that closed period. But for me, I'm not going to do that right now. But I want you to know it's here, down here. And just know that QuickBooks doesn't make, like, it will not tell you to do it. And there is no way QuickBooks is going to warn you for the mistake that you may commit. But I just want you to know that there is an option where you can reverse some of those things. You just need to know where it is, and when you are ready to close the books, you can actually come and check this downer part as you've seen. So let's head over down to the next one. The next one I'm going to look at, these are interviews, what. So these ones we can just skip, and maybe we'll go to checkings. Sorry, I've not closed. There is no way you can go when you have not closed this, because we have made some adjustment. We need to click OK. When you do that, you have sorted that one. We go back to preference, and now we are looking at checking. We are now in my preferences. You can skip that preference and we look at company preferences. You will see there are several different options as far as checking your register. So you can read through, because now I'm seeing a lot of these are on your own, because now some of these things you just select, they are just on your own. I'm just going to highlight some small things here, but those you can just read through. Whatever comes out, or whatever you may need, because this is as per the company, what the company wants. If the company is going to do this, then of course you read through, you'll be able to do, because this is in the bank, what you'll basically do in the bank. So those you read through just to understand, but you check only when it's needed. But for me, I do want you to notice a couple of things that you have your bank feeds option down here at the bottom. This bank feeds, it's the one I want you to, at least you make some observation, you see what we have there. I know we will talk about bank feeds in a later modules, but that basically means if you want to link QuickBooks to your bank so that it will download the transactions, you can do that from here. But now there is this classic, there is express mode, there is classic mode. This express mode is really outdated. You can say it is off. Even this one, classic mode, is also outdated. In newer versions, we have another option, which is the one we call advanced option. But for 2016, it is not there. That's why we are not seeing here any advanced option. Even this one is outdated. But for now, for us, we shall click on the classic mode because it is the one at least we have. The advanced mode is in those newer versions and it's not available in our QuickBooks 2016 version. But if you are using a version of, let's say, 2020, 2021, 2022, that advanced mode is there and you'll be seeing it. So if you are using the other version, then I would say you click on the advanced mode. But here for us, we are going to go with the classic mode, even though it's outdated. But just know this is where you come to change that option. And if you want to see that in a different way, we can also go by this express and we just leave it that way. So any of those will work, even though they are outdated, but they can still work. So that's what we've so far changed. We've not changed many here. We can press OK, and then we go to the next one. Go to preference, and then we can come back now to this one, desktop. This one we've seen, financial charges. We've seen basically what is here is make sure that this one multiple is turned on because you need it. There is nothing more there. Let's go to maybe general. That's where we can change some because I'm seeing there are very many things here. Most of them they are ticked and others are not. The first option here says pressing enter to move between the fields. This one is very important. You make sure you check it. Pressing enter, this is pressing enter key to move. It's like if you don't click this one, when you press enter on your keyboard, the cursor will not move. So putting that one on, it means when you press enter, the cursor can move to the next field. That's the meaning. And I know you know what it means, especially when you're working in Excel. If you press enter and the cursor doesn't move to the next line, then it will be a problem. So you need to set that up. So that's very key. So we definitely need to turn that on. So maybe the other thing we can talk about here, if I read through, the other one we can talk about, because most of these they are ticked. So we need to look at those which are not ticked and we'll talk about them a little bit. But we are looking for those that are most important. Now, there is one here, automatically recall information. This is also very important. You have to, this one is not turned on, but I want to explain to you what it means. Automatically recall last transaction for this name. We have to turn this one on. Why? Because we need to save time. What this means is that if maybe we are entering a bill, maybe for customer, let's say Ivan, and when we clear that Ivan and we put in all the information, if we enter that transaction maybe for Ivan, and maybe we want to pay Ivan, he had supplied for us raw materials and we are paying him. What that means is that then if you turn that one on, the next time you are paying the same Ivan or the same supplier, the name Ivan will be pulled from the previous transaction. In other words, for you, you will just be left to just put in the amounts and proceed to pay the customer, or sorry, to pay the supplier. But it will pull the names of that supplier back, meaning you will not need to fill in all the accounts details of that supplier than what this one was saying. Pre-fill accounts for vendors based on past entry. This one just pulls the names, but if you click on this one will pull everything, even the amount you paid last time. That's what they will pull, of which we don't need that. We just need to pull the information, just the name of the customer, where they are, their address and everything. Plus, for us, we just put in the amount, not pulling everything. So this one is very important. We make sure that it is on. So now that's it for automatically recall information. Then there is this default date to use for new entry. Now, this is the other thing I want to mention here. You probably want to use today's date as a default, not using the last entered date as a default. We use today's date as a default because we are not working backwards. If I enter the transaction on let's say 15th last year, I need, if I'm to put the same details today, at least I should pull the day of today, not the days of 15th. So this one, we change it to use today as today's date as default, because the time we will be putting in the information, we need QuickBooks to pull that same information from that very day, to pull out that date. So that's what it means. So hope you are seeing how some of these they can be able to help you save time. So because you have to know that every transaction has a current date. The day you are making that transaction is that current date. So we don't need the things of that we are supposed to pull the other last day of the transaction, then we start editing. No. So we have to look at some of these other options, and you see if there is anything at some point that you may want to turn on or off. We can maybe go ahead and look at one option here. We can look at maybe inventory and items. Sorry, I've not saved because we've made some changes. We need to save. We go to items and inventory. We click on company preference. When I look at the company preference, because now some of the things that you see, some of these are ticked. This one is ticked, this one is ticked, even this one is ticked. How are they ticked? We ticked those ones, or we made QuickBooks to tick them when we answered the Easy Step interview. We answered those questions that QuickBooks was asking us, and it was enabling some of these things to be on and off. So some of those were taken on, others were removed based on how we answered those questions. Because now, remember we wanted QuickBooks to know that we are going to use inventory. But if you are told QuickBooks that I don't do inventory, then you wouldn't have any of these you are seeing here checked. So, and some of these, if you unclick them, some of the icons there, they are going to go off completely. So that's why when these ones are on, that's why you are able to see that there is purchase orders, there is receiving inventory and all that. They are all there. The reason as why they are all there is because we've actually told QuickBooks that we are going to do inventory. So let's go ahead and stop this video right here. I want you to go over to part 2 of this same preference, because we have not yet completed. Remember, we've just reached at inventory and items. So we are going to video number 2 in this module, and we will continue talking about the different preferences until we finish all of them here. So that's all for now. We'll see you then.